What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Shadow Shadnik, and today I want to talk about Verdansk 2025. As of this recording, we are 1 month away from Verdansk returning in Warzone. And this is kind of the main reason I wanted to talk about Verdansk 2025 in this video. And that's that people are obviously, and rightfully so, reasonably excited for the return of Verdansk. Obviously, a lot of people had fond memories of this map and playing on it. But in 2025, obviously Warzone's changed quite a bit. And with them trying to bring this map back, obviously they're not going to bring it back one-to-one with how it was in 2020 or in 2021 even. There's going to be changes made to this map. And obviously we don't know everything that's going to be happening with it, but there's leakers that are saying that Black Ops 3 map Fringe will be on the map as a POI, which the original version of Verdansk did not have Fringe on there. Now, obviously with the current game being Black Ops 6, it would make sense for them to try to bring an old favorite from Treyarch's Black Ops games to this map. But at the same time, they're changing what was once, obviously a fan favorite Verdansk map. So it's not going to be one-to-one to what it was in 2020. Not that anyone necessarily expected it to be so, but I really kind of want to warn the community and let everybody know that they're going to change buildings, they're going to change POIs, and it's going to feel a lot different than it did back in 2020 or 2021 when Cold War was the main Call of Duty. And then jumping back into some current Warzone gameplay in the background, I'm playing just Plunder. And comparing the two versions of Warzone that we would have Verdansk, obviously Verdansk is set to return in about a month, so we could compare what we have right now in Warzone to what it would be like with Verdansk. Obviously some slight changes made to that map, and then kind of compare what we had back in 2021 or 2022 Warzone, or even 2020 Warzone, before they added all the zip lines, before they added redeployment flares and gulag tokens and a lot of the things that made Warzone feel a lot different today than it did back in 2020. And just going through a couple of the things that the game feels different. Like back in the day, visibility was kind of worse. I mean, everybody remembers the black rose skin and people hiding in dark corners of the map, all across the map. It didn't matter where you were. There was dark corners everywhere. And obviously that skin played into that visual glitch. And if you're on console, there's really nothing you could do about that. PC players were able to adjust their brightness. But even with that visibility kind of being a lot worse in terms of darkness, the graphics overall just seemed a lot better back in the day. I don't know what that is. Obviously, there's different engines that we're using right now with Warzone. I believe Warzone back then was on an older engine that they, for whatever reason, can't bring back. I don't know what's going on with that, if that's just a money ploy to improve Call of Duty's graphics in the future, but they just definitely seemed better back in the day. And then we can go into footstep audio. We already know that there's this weird pay to win footstep audio feature setting in Black Ops 6 here, but footstep audio was just much more consistent back in the day. And don't get me wrong, people were still complaining about footstep audio because there were inconsistencies, but it just feels like it was more consistent back in the day. And this is just coming back from watching not recent gameplays, but recent uploads from people that played back in the day. They have old Warzone 1 gameplays that they're uploading, and just watching the gameplay. These are just some of the notes that I've taken. Floating loot was really superior to what we have now. It's just harder to see the loot that's on the ground, and then you got to read it when it's floating, and you just run right through it. It was a lot easier back in the day. The weapons felt like they had a lot more lower recoil weapons, easier to control. The movement felt like it was a lot more smooth. Not that I don't like the movement that we have in this current iteration of Warzone, because I really, really do like it. It's quite enjoyable being able to sprint backwards and sideways and slide in all different directions. But there was something about the movement. Everyone knows there's just something about that first Modern Warfare 2019 movement with the slide cancel that just felt perfect. It just felt like peanut butter and jelly. And even watching some old school Warzone gameplay, when people were slide canceling back in the day, it's not like you went very far like you do today. So I do think that we have a slightly better movement system, but it just felt like it was really smooth back in the day too. The car mechanics were also way better in OG Verdansk than they are now. I don't know what they did to the controls. Now, I never personally felt super comfortable using a vehicle in Warzone even back in the day, but it was definitely much more of a mechanic to use, not only to get around the map, but obviously to kill people. Now in the current iteration, there's that new helicopter that seems pretty dangerous in the right user's hand, But outside of that, people aren't running people over with vehicles with regularity, and you're not using vehicles to get across the map. Even on Uzbekistan, which is the big map that we have currently available, as you can see in the gameplay here, I'm not using vehicles to get around even in Plunder to, chase most wanted targets and whatnot, or to be in just a highly populated area after I respawn maybe. I'm not really using vehicles because there's so many other ways to get around the map that are honestly safer and just better and quicker, such as redeployment drones, zip lines. Rotations just were, back in the day in Verdansk 2, they were just made more often by foot. You know what I mean? Vehicles as opposed to, also by vehicles too. So it was by foot and by vehicles as opposed to just the redeployment drones and the zip lines. And just again, the overall gameplay and what you do once you're in big map is completely different than it was back in the day. Current 2025 Warzone really just kind of feels like team deathmatch on a large scale map with some additional health by the addition of some plates. That's pretty much what you got. And it just feels like everyone, lands in and you go and you kill people, and that's kind of it. And there's a million different ways for you to respawn, as opposed to back in the day where like your life really mattered and it costs a little bit more to buy your teammates back. And personally, I like the current way of having it be a little bit cheaper to buy your teammates back, just so that people don't have to just spectate all day. But at the same time, I really do wish people valued their life in big map Warzone a little bit more than they do now. Even playing just recently, I played, and it just doesn't feel like there's that much consequence to dying in big map. You can die and then you get your gulag, and you can lose your gulag, then you might have your teammate buy you back. If your teammate doesn't buy you back, you might get a jailbreak. But let's say your teammate does buy you back, you can land in and you might get a redeployment, not a redeployment, but a gulag token. So if you do die again, it's just the cycle all over again. Maybe you'll win your gulag that time. It just seems like there's so many ways to come back, and it's not like I'm talking about resurgence here. We're talking about big map battle royale Warzone here. And that's kind of what I wanted to bring to everyone's attention here. Like, obviously, Call of Duty's been having a lot of problems with losing players rapidly. Warzone feels very stale and terrible. The map, I don't want to say Uzbekistan is necessarily the problem, but we don't love the map in of itself. Everyone's super excited for Warzone, but I think people are looking back at old Warzone with a little bit of rose-tinted glasses. Don't forget that there were some problems back in the day, like high ground rotations were annoying. Do you guys remember the dam before they added zip lines and redeployment drones? But at the same time, I don't want people to get super hyped thinking that them bringing Verdansk back to this current state of Warzone is just going to bring Warzone back to its glory days, because it's just not. This version of Verdansk that we're getting is not going to be one-to-one than what we had. There are going to be a lot of changes that people are probably not going to like, with POIs and the standard buildings across the map. Who knows what the graphics are going to look like? It could be a mess. So I just wanted to kind of give this video out and kind of forewarn people as to what to expect for Verdansk in 2025 as they're bringing it back on March 20, 2025. That is pretty much it for the video. I am still streaming Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday on your favorite streaming platform, so definitely come by and check me out. We're still doing videos every Wednesday, uploading on Thursday. But other than that, I am out. Peace. What the fuck is this shit right here? What is this? What is this? Explain yourself.
It's a giant fluffy heart skin.